Hello again, Year 8. Today we're going to be doing dividing into a given ratio. So I'm just going to clarify some stuff, and if you know this subject already, I'm probably going to teach it in a slightly different way because I find that this benefits us in the long run. Okay, so dividing into a given ratio. If I asked you for the ratio of yellow to blue, we should hopefully see that there are 2 yellow circles to every 3 blue. That's already in its simplest form. I don't need to simplify. However, if I look at the proportion of blue, proportion, that's a funny word. So a proportion is anything that can be expressed as a fraction, decimal, or percentage. Proportion can be expressed as a fraction, decimal, or percentage, because those things are all equivalent. Now, the proportion of blue, well, there's 1, 2, 3 blue circles out of the total number of circles. Well, how many circles are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the proportion of blue is 2/5, and the proportion of yellow is 2 out of 5, therefore. So if you could have a quick think of this one, see if you can complete this exercise yourself, and then I'll go through it in a moment with you. When it says fraction of black, fraction of white, that could easily have been saying proportion instead, and you could have chosen to express it as a fraction. Okay, so pause the video there, then I'll go through it with you. Unpause. Right, ratio of black to white is 3. Remember, the order is important, 3 to 2. In fact, why don't I put that down there? 3 to 2. The fraction of black is 3 over 5. The fraction of white is 2 over 5. The ratio of white to black, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 white to every 3 black, which is equivalent, because that can be simplified, to 2 to 1. So when we look at the fraction of black, which is 3 over 9, that can be simplified to 1/3. I didn't ask for it in its simplest form, so I would have accepted either, but it's good practice to try to simplify where possible. So fraction of white, there are 6 white out of 9 counters in total, so that would be 2/3. And ratio of black to white is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 1. The fraction of black is 5/6. The fraction of white is 1/6. The ratio of black to white to grey, black is 1, to white is 3, to grey is 2. The fraction of black is 1/6. Apologies for the baby in the background. The fraction of white is 3/6. This can be simplified to 1/2. Okay, so I set this as homework yesterday, but just to recap how to do this. So if you are working out a fraction of amount, let's say for instance, if we worked out 2/3 of 18. So, by the way, that's exactly the same as 2/3 times 18. These things mean exactly the same thing. Yeah? So don't get confused when you see of and multiply. They mean the same thing. Coming back to this question, how would I work out 2/3 of 18? Well, I divide by the denominator. So I've got 18 divided by 3, which is going to give me 6. Then I multiply it by 2. So divide by the denominator first, take the number, divide it by the denominator, then multiply that answer by the numerator. 18 divided by 3 is 6, times 2 will give me 12. So another example might be 4/7 of 21. 21 divided by 7 is 3. 21 divided by 7 is 3, then times by 4 will give me an answer of 12. So I basically said that 4/7 of 21 is 12. Right, so here's some examples. If the question asks you to divide 43 in the ratio, I'm just going to make this a bit clearer. No, white on white. So it's a really badly written example, that. So if this said divide £45 in the ratio of 2 to 3, as it does, the first thing I would want you to do is this. Now, if I have 2 of something to 3 of something, so there are 2 things to every, let me make them circles, otherwise that looks like 11. If I have 2 things to every 3 things, which is what I have here, hopefully we can see that this part of it is 2 out of a total of 5. So there are 2 parts here because that says 2. And if I sum those 2 things together, the proportion in this 2 is 2/5, just as this 3 will be 3/5. So these are the fractions of that ratio, and then you're working out 2/5 of 45. So just the amount, 2/5 of 45 and 3/5 of 45. Now, you don't have to show your working here, but you can if you want. I'll explain what I'm doing. I'm going to do 45 divided by 5. 45 divided by 5 is 9. Times by 2 is 18. 45 divided by 5 is 9. Times 3. Have I made a mistake there? 9 times 2. No, I haven't. 45 divided by 5 is 9 again. Times 3 is 27. Now, I was a bit unsure when I said that, so 2 ways I can check to see whether this is correct. First off, I can just sum these 2 things together, 18 add 27, and it should give me this amount here, which it does in this case. And if I was to simplify this ratio, I've got my arrow there, if I was to simplify this ratio, it would return to 2/3. So that's how we work that one out. I'm going to go through one more example with this. So it's a bit messy. So this time I'm asked to share some pizza. This could be a problem for you guys, sharing some pizza. So share 40 slices of pizza in the ratio 3 to 5. So the first thing I'll do, in fact, I'll write it underneath. I should have done that before. 3 to 5. Now I think this is 3 parts out of, well, 3 add 5 is 8, so the proportion is 3/8. Here I have 5 parts out of 3 add 5 is 8, so the proportion in this ratio is 5/8. So these are the proportions of each. And what am I dividing? Well, I'm dividing or sharing 40 things. So 5/8 of 40. So we've got 40 divided by 8, which gives me 5, times 3, which gives me 15. 40 divided by 8, which gives me 5, times 5, which gives me 25. Let me just do my checks. 15 add 25 gives me 40. Yep, that makes sense. And if I was to simplify this, it would simplify back to 3/5. So that's how we divide into a ratio. Now, you might get ratios like this one here, where it might say, I want you to share, and these are the key words. It will say share or divide into. So if I asked you to divide £60 in the ratio of 1 to 2 to 3. Well, now, even though there's 3 parts, or there's 3 bits to it, I should say, 1, to 2 to 3, the exact same process is going to apply. So here I have 1, and how many bits are there in total? Well, 1 add 2 is 3, add another 3 is 6. Here I could do 2 out of 6 again. They're always going to have the same denominator because it's whatever the parts in the ratio sum to, and this is 3/6. Now, some individuals might want to be, as you can see, the second two fractions you can simplify. That would be good if you did want to do that. So I've got 1/6. I'm not going to, just because I don't want to add another level of confusion just yet. This is 1/6 of 60, 2/6 of 60, and 3/6 of 60. So that's going to give me 60 divided by 6 is 10, times 1 is 10. 60 divided by 6 is 10 times 2, which gives me 20. And 60 divided by 6 is 10 times 3 will give me 30. Okay, so well, that one was relatively straightforward, and I can see quite clearly that if I simplified that, it would simplify to 1 to 2 to 3, and if I sum them together, I'll get 60 there. So that's how we divide or share into a ratio. So that's one of our main skills, but the ratio questions can get really confusing. So have a look at that video, then I'd like you to attempt the My Maths task, which I'm going to put up there. Thank you, keep up the hard work.